This is Bailey Fogle, and I'm going to be sharing my poster for my action research study. My research question is, how does high school teachers' attitudes about utilizing technology for the purpose of formative assessment affect their classroom assessment practices? I performed my study at East Jessamine High School. My participants were 6 secondary teachers who taught various subjects. My goal was to determine if teachers' attitudes towards technology-based formative assessment affected their assessment practices. This study related to my school because all teachers are required to input at least one formative grade a week for each student. While many teachers at East High use formative assessments frequently in their classroom, many do not utilize technology. With a 1-to-1 ratio of Chromebooks to students, I wanted to figure out why teachers did not utilize technology more often. Through a survey of relevant published studies, connections were made to the topic of technology-based formative assessments. These articles provided background information to prior studies that had been conducted over the topic of technology-based formative assessments. This literature also helped me to make connections to my action research study. As you can see through my literature review, I was able to develop 3 major themes: student and teacher benefits towards technology-based assessments, and teacher attitudes towards technology-based formative assessments. For my action research study, I used a triangulation mixed methods approach. This method allowed me to collect qualitative and quantitative data. I collected quantitative data by giving a Google Forms survey. I collected qualitative data by performing observations and interviews with each participant. To triangulate the data, I used these 3 data collection pieces to find themes and meta-themes throughout. Then I determined which themes showed up in all 3 data collection pieces. I was able to take these themes and then develop my findings for my study. The participants of the study were selected randomly. They taught various subjects and had varying levels of teaching experience. Each participant had some level of knowledge related to formative assessments. Each participant signed a consent form and agreed to the procedures of my study. The data collected was kept on a password-protected computer and only I have access to. All participants were assigned a number identifier to protect their privacy. All collected data will be deleted by December 30th of 2019. As you can see from the table below, the participants had varying levels of teaching experience from 2 to 18 years and taught varying subject areas. Using 3 data collection sources allowed me to triangulate my data. Once I collected the data, I went through each individual data piece and highlighted themes. Once themes were recognized in individual pieces, I put those themes in the table. The next step was for me to create meta-themes based on the recurring themes from the individual data sources. This allowed me to group and identify any outliers. The final step was to identify proof of triangulation. I created a new table to find the themes that occurred throughout all 3 data pieces. This process allowed me to prove that my findings were indeed valid. Table 3 shows my themes for each individual data piece. The chart was made from participants' survey responses. It was a Likert scale from 1 to 5, 1 being strongly disagree and 5 being strongly agree. As you can see, technology-based formative assessments are effective in collecting data was a 4.5. Technology-based formative assessments are effective in providing feedback. Immediate feedback was a 4.8. Technology-based formative assessments aid in driving instruction was a 3.8. And students benefit from technology-based formative assessments was a 3.5. Although the answers from the chart were closer to the strongly agree in being that formative assessment is effective, the pie chart shows that even though the participants indicated that their survey answers that technology is useful in many ways, they do not use it frequently. Knowing that they are required to formatively assess their students at least weekly, we can see that the most frequently that they use technology is every other week. Table 4 shows the refined themes that showed up in all 3 data collection pieces. Table 5 shows the meta-themes along with the assertions created from the themes. Assertion 1 Technology allows students to collect data in a timely manner. Teachers can then use that data to drive their instruction. Assertion 2, technology allows students to receive immediate feedback. This in turn helps students to be active in their learning process. Assertion 3, teachers understand the effectiveness of using technology to formatively assess their students. However, they do not use it as frequently as they would like to for varying reasons. The purpose of this study was to determine teachers' thoughts on technology-based formative assessment and figure out if their thoughts then affected their assessment practices. Through collecting and analyzing data from my 3 sources, I was able to gain insight on how teachers at East Jessamine High School feel about digital formative assessments, including their pros and cons. Participants overall shared the efficiency and effectiveness of digital formatives. They shared that digital formatives allowed them and their students to receive immediate feedback, help them to collect data, and help to drive their instruction to ensure student achievement. With all of the positive things said about digital formative assessments, there was still found to be a need of support for teachers with these tools. Table 6 shows the themes along with the goals and the connection to my literature. The first goal is to improve teachers' ability to collect data. The literature shows that technology helps to collect quick and immediate data about students' understanding. The second goal is to improve students' experience with formative assessments. Improving the teacher's ability to provide immediate feedback, the research shows that a week or even a day delay in providing feedback can jeopardize the effectiveness of the feedback in terms of improving learning. The third goal is to provide support to teachers on how to effectively implement technology into their formative assessment practices. The literature found that many teachers felt overwhelmed with the large number of technology tools. Teachers felt that their school should commit to a feasible number of technology tools and provide appropriate professional development on those tools. The teachers that participated contributed their ideas on how to improve technology implementation for the purpose of formative assessments. The following ideas will help to increase the effective use of digital formative assessments at East Jessamine High School. The first recommendation is to provide teachers with appropriate technology in the classroom. The minimal appropriate technology needed would be a classroom set of Chromebooks and the appropriate internet access. The second recommendation is to provide professional development for technology-based formative assessment tools. Participants in my research felt that their school should hone in on a few digital tools and provide support to teachers on how to effectively incorporate them into their classrooms. The final recommendation is to allow teachers professional development time to create digital formative banks for the subject area that they teach. Teachers feel that they have guided curriculum for summative assessments, but then receive no support with formative assessments. Related to the teaching profession as a whole, this research directly affects the education system. This shows administrators and school districts how to properly support their teachers in utilizing technology-based formative assessments. Here are some of my resources that were utilized in my research. Please check out the literature to find out more information on the topic. Thank you for listening.